Do you know the cases of people who have died victims of corruption and of the dominion of the powerful? This is just one of the questions that we will reflect on today's Gospel. But before we continue, if you are new to this channel, please click the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you will be informed of any new content. Today's Gospel is taken from the book of Mark chapter 6 verses 17 to 29. And this is what it says. But when Herod learned of it, he said, "It is John whom I beheaded. He has been raised up." Herod was the one who had John arrested and bound in prison on account of Herodias, the wife of his brother Philip, whom he had married. John had said to Herod, "It is not lawful for you to have your brother's wife." Herodias harbored a grudge against him and wanted to kill him but was unable to do so. Herod feared John, knowing him to be a righteous and holy man, and kept him in custody. When he heard him speak he was very much perplexed, yet he liked to listen to him. Herodias had an opportunity one day when Herod, on his birthday, gave a banquet for his courtiers, his military officers, and the leading men of Galilee. His own daughter came in and performed a dance that delighted Herod and his guests. The king said to the girl, "Ask of me whatever you wish and I will grant it to you." He even swore many things to her. "I will grant you whatever you ask of me, even to half of my kingdom." She went out and said to her mother, "What shall I ask for?" Her mother replied, "The head of John the Baptist." The girl hurried back to the king's presence and made her request, "I want you to give me at once on a platter the head of John the Baptist." The king was deeply distressed, but because of his oaths and the guests he did not wish to break his word to her. So he promptly dispatched an executioner with orders to bring back his head. He went off and beheaded him in the prison. He brought in the head on a platter and gave it to the girl. The girl in turn gave it to her mother. When his disciples heard about it, they came and took his body and laid it in a tomb. The Gospel today describes how John the Baptist was victim of the corruption and of the arrogance of the government of Herod. He died without being judged by a tribunal, in the course of a banquet given by Herod with the great men of the kingdom. The text gives us much information about the time of the life of Jesus and on the way in which the powerful of the time exercised power. From the beginning of the Gospel of Mark we perceive or see a situation of suspense. He had said, after John had been arrested, Jesus went into Galilee proclaiming the gospel of God. In today's Gospel, almost suddenly, we know that Herod had already killed John the Baptist. Therefore, the reader asks himself, what will he do now with Jesus? Will he suffer the same destiny? Rather than drawing up a balance of the opinions of the people and of Herod on Jesus, Mark asks another question, who is Jesus? This last question grows throughout the Gospel until it receives the definitive response from the centurion at the foot of the cross, truly, this man was the Son of God. In Mark chapter 6 verses 17 to 20. The cause for the killing of John. Galilee, the land of Jesus, was governed by Herod Antipas, the son of King Herod the Great, from the year 4 BC up to the year 39 after Christ. In all, 43 years. During the whole lifetime of Jesus, there had been no change in the government of Galilee. Herod Antipas was the absolute lord of everything. He listened to no one and did whatever he pleased. But the one who really commanded in Palestine, from the year 63 BC, was the Roman Empire. Herod, in order to not be removed from office, tried to please Rome in everything. He insisted above all on an efficient administration which would provide income for the Roman Empire. The only thing that concerned or worried him was his security and promotion. This is why he repressed any type of subversion. Flavius Josephus, a writer of that time, says that the reason for the imprisonment of John the Baptist was Herod's fear of a popular revolt. Herod liked to be called benefactor of the people, but in reality he was a tyrant. John's denouncement of him was the drop which filled up the cup, and John was thrown into prison. In Mark chapter 6 verses 21 to 29, the murder plot. The anniversary and the banquet of the feast, with dancing and orgies. This was an environment in which the alliances were plotted. In attendance were, the great of the court, the officials and important people from Galilee. In this environment the murder of John the Baptist was plotted. John, the prophet, was a living denouncement in this corrupt system. This is why he was eliminated under the pretext of personal vengeance. All this reveals the moral weakness of Herod. So much power accumulated in the hands of a man who did not control himself. Under the enthusiasm of the feast and of the wine, Herod swore lightly to give something to the young dancer. And superstitious as he was, he thought that he had to maintain his oath. For Herod, the life of his subjects counted nothing, had no value. He used them as he wanted and decided what to do with them just as he decided where to place the chairs in his house. Mark gives an account of how things happened and lets the community draw its own conclusions. For our reflection, do you know people in the community and in our church who are victims of authoritarianism and an excess of power? Before we end, let me share with you the one big message of this topic. God gives us power and strength through the Holy Spirit. Use the power bestowed on you to bless and not to curse. And with this, may God be praised.